I personally love the quote, "Don't believe everything you think." And understanding that can help us avoid catching a terminal case of stupidity. Critical thinking is a process of evaluating information, ideas, and arguments in a systematic, objective, and logical manner in order to form sound judgments and make reasoned decisions. It involves analyzing and accessing information, identifying biases and assumptions, considering alternative perspectives, and drawing conclusions based on evidence and reasoning. Buddhist tradition emphasizes the importance of questioning our own thoughts and perceptions in order to see reality more clearly. I very firmly believe society would be so much better if everyone was taught about the dangers of confirmation bias, beginning at a young age, because just understanding that will help us all to avoid catching a bad case of the stupid. The good news is that critical thinking is a skill that can be improved with practice and training. Just remember to ask questions, evaluate evidence, consider alternative perspectives, avoid fallacious reasoning, and practice self-reflection. I am reminded of a famous quote by Mark Twain: "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." Skepticism involves questioning assumptions, scrutinizing evidence, and carefully evaluating claims before accepting them as true. This can help us to avoid being misled by false or misleading information, and it can help us arrive at more accurate conclusions. It is important that we don't confuse skepticism with cynicism, or a blanket rejection of all claims or ideas. Skepticism is about approaching information with a critical eye and using evidence and reasoning to evaluate claims, not automatically rejecting everything outright. There's a dangerous trend in what we'll call podcast celebrities, who through ignorance or intention confuse pseudo-skepticism with actual skepticism. Pseudo-skepticism is very high on my list of pet peeves. This is also known as denialism. It's a form of skepticism that is not based on genuine critical inquiry, but rather on a preconceived belief or agenda. Pseudo-skeptics may appear to be practicing genuine skepticism, but they selectively apply their skepticism only to ideas or evidence that conflicts with their preconceptions, while accepting without question those ideas that support them. Again, these people are just promoting their own confirmation biases while marketing themselves as deep-thinking, truth-telling skeptics. Pseudo-skepticism can be dangerous because it can lead to the rejection of valid scientific evidence or the promotion of false or misleading information. It can also discourage genuine inquiry and stifle scientific progress. One way to distinguish between genuine skepticism and pseudo-skepticism is to look at the basis for the skepticism. Genuine skepticism is based on evidence, reason, and critical inquiry, while pseudo-skepticism is often based on ideology, conspiracy theories, or personal biases. Genuine skepticism is open to changing its views in response to new evidence, while pseudo-skepticism often remains fixed in its beliefs regardless of the evidence presented. We must all approach skepticism with an open mind and commitment to genuine inquiry. We must be willing to change one's views in response to new evidence. This is the best way to ensure that skepticism is used as a tool for genuine discovery and understanding, rather than a shield for preconceptions or agendas. Stupidity is a more dangerous enemy of the good than malice. One may protest against evil. It can be exposed, and if need be, prevented by use of force. Evil always carries within itself the germ of its own subversion, and that it leaves behind in human beings at least a sense of unease. Against stupidity, we are defenseless. Neither protest nor the use of force accomplish anything here. Reasons fall on deaf ears. Facts that contradicts one's prejudgment simply need not be believed. In such moments, the stupid person even becomes critical, and when facts are irrefutable, they are just pushed aside as inconsequential, as incidental. In all of this, the stupid person, in contrast to the malicious one, is utterly self-satisfied, and being easily irritated becomes dangerous by going on the attack. For that reason, greater caution is called for when dealing with a stupid person than with a malicious one. That quote is attributed to Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German theologian and pastor who is known for his opposition to the Nazi regime and his involvement in the resistance movement against them. He was executed by hanging at the Flossenburg concentration camp on April 9, 1945, just a few weeks before the Allies liberated Berlin on May 2, 1945. He had been imprisoned by the Nazis for his opposition to Hitler and his regime. as well as his involvement in a plot to assassinate Hitler. His execution was ordered by Heinrich Himmler, who was the head of the SS and one of the most powerful men in Nazi Germany at the time. Before his death, while imprisoned, Bonhoeffer wrote about the concept of stupidity. In his letters from prison, Bonhoeffer referred to the idea of stupidity as a particular kind of moral and intellectual deficiency which was distinct from ignorance or a lack of intelligence. Bonhoeffer suggested that stupidity is often more dangerous than evil, because while evil is often a deliberate choice, stupidity can be an unintentional result of laziness or complacency. He suggested that stupid people are often content with easy answers and simplistic explanations, rather than engaging in the kind of rigorous intellectual and moral inquiry that is necessary for real understanding. Bonhoeffer also connects stupidity to the rise of totalitarian regimes, suggesting that people who are susceptible to stupid thinking are more likely to follow authoritarian leaders who promise simple solutions to complex problems. He wrote that the totalitarian state is always in the wrong, but it cannot recognize this fact because its very existence depends on perpetuating the myth that everything it does is right. And stupidity is not strictly limited to uneducated people. Even highly educated people can be incredibly stupid. Education can provide knowledge, skills, and critical thinking abilities, but it does not necessarily guarantee intelligence or wisdom. Intelligence refers to a person's cognitive abilities, such as problem solving, logical reasoning, and learning ability. Wisdom, on the other hand, refers to a person's ability to make good judgments and decisions based on their knowledge and experience. It is possible for someone to have a high level of education but lack intelligence or wisdom. For example, a person may have memorized a large amount of information, but they may not be able to apply that information in a practical way. They may also lack critical thinking skills and the ability to question their own assumptions and beliefs. A person's intelligence and wisdom can be affected by factors such as biases, emotional intelligence, and cultural background, which may not necessarily be addressed by formal education. To overcome stupidity, Bonhoeffer suggested it is necessary to cultivate a spirit of humility and a willingness to learn from others. He wrote that we have to learn to think anew about everything, and that this requires us to be open to new ideas and perspectives. Bonhoeffer also emphasized the importance of moral courage and the willingness to speak out against injustice, even when it is difficult or unpopular. And then to complicate this even further, there's the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is a psychological phenomenon that describes the tendency of people who are less competent in a particular domain to overestimate their abilities, while those who are more competent tend to underestimate their abilities. This effect is often seen in people who lack the necessary knowledge or skills to accurately evaluate their own performance. The Dunning-Kruger effect is related to Bonhoeffer's concept of stupidity, since both suggest people who are susceptible to catching a case of stupid are often unaware of their own limitations. In other words, they are unable to recognize their own lack of critical thinking or moral discernment, and thus overestimate their own abilities. Also relevant to this idea is the concept of metacognitive ignorance. This refers to a lack of awareness or understanding of one's own cognitive abilities or limitations. In other words, it's the inability to accurately evaluate one's own thinking and decision-making processes. Upon reflection, this suggests that we are all vulnerable to catching a case of stupid. Every one of us has been stupid at one point or another. There's no vaccine to prevent it. There's no protective clothing to keep it away. All we can do is try to practice critical thinking, practice skepticism, and always ask questions. Bonhoeffer placed great emphasis on the importance of humility and a willingness to learn from others. This is also relevant to the Dunning-Kruger effect, as it suggests that people who are aware of their own limitations are more likely to seek out information and feedback that can help them improve. In contrast, people who are unaware of their own limitations may be less likely to seek out information or feedback, which can lead to a lack of growth and development. Be patient with yourself, with others, reflect on past choices, and remember, in this life, the only person you're in competition with is yourself. Each new day gives us an opportunity to try to be a better person than we were the day before. And that is how we can fight stupidity together. I hope the information I've shared with you can be helpful. I'm Matten, your host. If this has been helpful to you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. I am thankful and blessed for your support.